All right, so with the 225th selection, Barnes University selected tight end Dallen Bentley. Now, before I get into the evaluation and analysis of the prospect, I always like to introduce myself to the new viewers, new people coming to the party, and what are you actually watching, right? So, I do this video series annually with all the Tennessee Titans selections, my evaluation and analysis pick per pick, and that's on other videos. You can go check those out. But then I also do an accountability practice to where I select who I would during real time live during the draft of who I would select. Now we're on pick 225. I selected tight end Dallen Bentley out of Utah, but I also like to introduce you to the messenger. I'm Charles Barnes at BU underscore scouting on most of my social media platforms. I have a background in recruiting and being in collegiate offices as a scouting assistant. I also have been a PFF data collector. I've also graduated a GM course where I was in direct contact with people who have really made some big moves in are part of the NFL history. Then former GMs got scouts numbers. I go to these events with Senior Bowl and they already know who I am. Um, I've kept up with my accountability and hit rate, free agency and the draft and just all things football in general for over a decade plus. And I have a pretty decent hit rate on that. So that's the messenger for the new people tuning in, just so you can know who's talking, who's relaying the message, and how much how important it may be to you to take heed to it. But for me, um, with that 225th selection, it was going to be a tight end for me or safety. And that's the beauty of the practice when you're doing it live and you've watched prospects like I have over 950 plus this draft cycle. You really just see how your board just starts to come together. You really got to be organized and really see where stuff is at. But safety constantly was brought up um, those last few selections for the Titans. There was really good value with safeties, whether it was Cole Wisniewski, Bishop Fitzgerald, who ended up being an undrafted free agent signing anyway for the Titans. So that's good. Um, and then, or as early as Kilgore going really early, or earlier in the 160-ish range. And then it was tight end, right? It was Dallen Bentley, someone who, I've been privy to for a long time. And then Michael Trigg, someone that I publicly said that, hey, if this kid puts it all together, he's going to be special. And then you have other just unique skill sets like I always talk about the Delaney, Walker, Chiga Okonkwo, kind of Jonnu Smith range where the Rohan Joneses of the world, John Michael Gillenborg, and then who the Titans selected, Jaron Kanik. Just those type of tight ends were available. Daquan Wright, who's kind of a hybrid of the two. But I went with Dallen Bentley, the guy that kind of popped into the scene, 1 year of production, but just has the overall makeup, size, enough speed, consistent hands. I think he had over I'm just gonna lowball up 50 plus targets and zero drops. I think it was upwards of almost 70 targets and no drops. And that's important, right? Getting open. I think he has the body type that can withstand and you can develop into a good blocker. I don't think there was just he needs some coaching on the blocking technique, but he has the size and the strength to get it done. Just showed an elite level of athletic ability that you wouldn't think would be there for a guy that had 1 year production and you know just came onto the scene. You see a lot of that with prospects nowadays who are getting extra years to develop and they know that this is their last go at it and things line up for him. And he's one of those players that just stepped up. And I think that once again, the name of the game and the theme of the game is like positional versatility or role and roster versatility at this point. Why didn't I go with someone like I've publicly vouched for, like a Michael Trigg? Why not go ahead and get him and not take the risk of, having him, be an undrafted free agent? Because with Michael Trigg, you're getting a player that can he play the first two downs, right? And then you look at where he attacked and where he was efficient at in college. Okay, you would think that he had high contested catch rate percentage and numbers, right? But that wasn't the case. The highlights that you see him making the plays is just really a certain percentage of the plays that he was making. And then you look at the college game, right? The hash marks and the space in the field and the type of play that he made. In reality, will he have those type of plays? Yeah, 1v1s, running away from people in the red zone. But overall, a lot of those plays are going to be bang, bang quicker, right? So you look at that and you look at the special teams. And am I going to run Michael Trigg, out there on the coverage units to cover somebody? No. Is he going to be a great blocker on the coverage units? No. Is he even going to be a great blocker for you on the first and second downs? Probably not. So it's like the utility isn't there. He's more of a specialist player. And I just went with a more overall player with Dallen Bentley that I know that can do a multitude of things. And he's going to want to do a lot of things, whether that be at play a traditional tight end, be tight end two, be tight end three. And he's gonna want to play on teams as well. And that's kind of why I landed on the, I guess you could say, more mature pick in Dallen Bentley. But Michael Trigg is certainly there. I definitely, he was very high in my rankings, as high as tight end three. But he kept like it never really got there for me until these last few picks tight end wise. And I'm like, do I really want to go right there with three? Because really it makes sense being the highest rated player on the board. But at the same time, let's make the more mature pick and the more mature selection, with Dallen Bentley being an all-around player. And then heck, if I don't draft him, just give him the biggest contract out there, right? And just try to try to influence him away from another team. But it is what it is. I really like what I was able to do. Obviously, like I've said, it's it mirrors the chaotic uh monster or beast that the draft is, but it also puts you at a disadvantage because you're not the one making the trades. I'm not trading up to 31, giving up capital. I'm not trading up to 60, giving up draft capital. So it kind of makes it different that way because you might have had a plan to get another player with the pick that was given up. But I think I did the best with what I had, and appreciate everybody that's tuned in for whether it be just this video or the whole entire series or just this series. Appreciate it. Got more stuff to come, and I'll see you on the next one.